a round of absolute controversy, comebacks, and amazing games. I'm JC. Welcome to 10 in the Bin podcast. I'm sure you've seen me on your For You page losing it about the Dragons. You can see the Dragons on my chest here. Carry them on my chest, in my heart, in my mind, but not on TikTok anymore apparently, or Instagram because I've been banned. I'm decided to start a podcast because you guys seem to enjoy my content. I've got my mate over here. Let him introduce himself.
Name's Charlie. Pretty much came here, bunch of mates, want to talk about footy. We're nothing too serious. We just want to have our takes on football, the NRL, the round that was, the round that will be, Origin, have a crack at everything. Pretty much have some fun, talk some footy.
Yeah, I've been in front of the camera for a couple of years. So with my content, I was always doing like sort of funny content. Like I never did footy related content. And then I got introduced to the charity match, as you guys probably would have seen. Played the charity match, and in my mind, I was like, how do I get back here? So then I'm like, we'll start some footy content. And then I released my first Team List Tuesday video, and everyone enjoyed it. So I'm like, we're going through there. And then I've gained close to 10,000 followers since the start of the NRL season on TikTok.
Woo!
Yeah. So I'm used to the cameras. Another man that is also used to cameras for good and bad reasons over
Mostly
there.
bad.
They're both lies. There are no bad reasons. I'm a good man sometimes. Look, he's right, but I am comfortable in front of cameras.
Introduce your name, you.
My name is obviously Sam. Not obvious to you guys, but my name is Sam. I am comfortable in front of cameras.
Told you he's an idiot.
That's not what he said. I've been performing poetry for about 4 years at the Bankstown Poetry Slam. I ended up winning one last year, which got me into the Grand Slam at the Opera House. So I did perform at the Opera House this year in front of 6,000 people, cameras all over the place. So this isn't anything new to me.
Yeah. So speaking of poetry, you can be our Ray Warren here, or the Peter Drew, whichever way you want to take it. I'm going to say you're Andrew Johns because you've got no clue about the game.
That's better.
Yeah. So
That's better. That's much better. I'm more comfortable now.
Just to further the boys' points, we're just going to be a podcast that's a lot more engaging than your usual podcast with the followers. We're obviously going to be just a bunch of morons. Well, 2 morons and a genius.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Nah, we're just gonna talk footy. We'll be ourselves. You guys get to see like what it is for a bunch of passionate fans that just like to talk footy. We always talk Supercoach, always talk footy from time to time.
What's your trades, bro?
Yeah, don't talk
your
to me about
trades
trades, bro. I'm versing that moron over
I'm
there.
going to beat him so much he's not showing up next week.
And then we'll get you guys engaged into it. We've got some segments that we get your hot takes in. You will get your questions and stuff. Maybe somehow get some collaborations along the way, and
Have some fun.
Yeah, we'll just go with whatever we think is best for you guys and for us, obviously.
Pretty much.
So to delve into our first segment, we're gonna be breaking down some football, and our first game of the week was the Knights versus the Eels, and obviously I've been talking about it as the moon spoon because the loser of this team was going to get sent to the moon because they obviously don't deserve to play NRL. And the VIP package went to Newcastle Knights. What are your thoughts on the Lomax
Business class.
What are your thoughts on the Lomax Moses combination that we've seen finally this year?
Yeah, it's about time, but it's good signs for Parramatta, honestly. Just Lomax on one edge, you got Adokon, the other edge is a character. It'll work well together. Just doing what they're gonna do. They just the kicks to Lomax.
They're gonna
abuse the
absolutely
fuck out of
spam
them.
kicks.
It's
You know what it reminds me of? You know when you first play a game and then you're like learning the controls?
yeah.
And then you find that one good move that
I
just
swear.
keeps working. That's
it's like when you
Parramatta.
do FIFA and you have the power shot. You're like, fuck yeah.
That's
for
what
me,
it is. They're
that's what-
learning
that's what
their
gonna do.
moves, and they're just going to keep spamming the first good thing that happens to him, and it's just going to be Moses to Lomax, Lomax back to Moses, Moses to Lomax.
Yeah,
They might get Dylan Brown involved a bit, but yeah, you know what I mean.
yeah.
But
It's a strong combination, and they're both obviously Origin class players. I just do want to say, on top of those two, I've actually been very impressed with Gideon Kaltonga, a Bulldogs junior who's gone to Parramatta. He's now a starting second rower. Obviously, he has his defensive lapses, but with the ball in hand, I think he's a very dangerous edge forward.
yeah, I feel like that's what they've been lacking this year. I personally don't rate him at all, but I feel like the Parramatta is lacking the edge, like the edge back rowers that when they had that run for the grand final. They had like Bryce Cartwright on the edge who was creating stuff.
Footy.
And
Yeah.
Ryan Madison as well.
Yeah, literally,
Madison.
they had players that would create stuff out of nothing, and this guy's a bit of an idiot. I can't lie, but he's produced some good moments during games and stuff. But man, he couldn't read a picture book if you gave it to him with fucking magnifying glasses.
Nah, it's his inexperience in first grade footy. That's what it is. You can probably count the amount of times he's played NRL first grade footy on your hands.
Like he's
On
played
both
no
hands.
more than 10 first grade games. He's gonna have some lapses.
He's got to have
but
it all comes with experience. That's what's gonna come with him.
Do we think now that the Eels can push for the top 8?
No, I think it's too.
Or have
far.
they let the horses run too far to catch up?
Yeah,
think it's
look, I
gone too
also
far.
think they've given away too big of a lead. I don't think they'll be able to pull it back because you'd expect Penrith to get better, who are down there. Titans will probably stay towards the bottom for the rest of the year, but Penrith should make their way up.
Yeah.
Even to be honest, the Dragons have been about 4 points in total away from 3 more wins.
I don't
So-
feel like their pack can go toe to toe with another good pack.
I agree.
They'll feel that's where they're gonna cop their losses.
Like, yeah, they did have a good win against, on the other side of the table, probably the worst team that we've seen in recent history, the Knights. Are they guaranteed the spoon now? What are we thinking? Like, have we seen a worse attacking team in recent history? I know we've had the Bulldogs a couple
Bulldogs
years
were
ago.
pretty bad.
Yeah,
Bulldogs were pretty bad.
yeah.
Couple
It was
years ago.
shocking.
But, like, are they now wooden spoon contenders in your books?
Definitely
Probably.
contenders, but
Definitely
I wouldn't say
contenders.
shoe-ins.
I don't think.
because
I don't
For
know.
me, I think there's no other team that can take the spoon off them.
But this year's been funky. This
You're not
season's
wrong.
been funky.
We might see Brisbane fall apart.
Oh, you just don't know. You don't know. You don't know how many wins they're at the Knights. They just do it towards the end of the season. They know how to win. For
But they've
something.
brought
really
it upon
do.
themselves.
They really
They've
do.
brought it upon themselves. They've had the best 7 in their club at the moment sat out for the year for no reason because Adam O'Brien's got some vendetta against him. And the only time they seem to play good or find points is when they realise that they've got Ponga, the best fullback in the competition, at the back, and they start to give him the ball. This year, for some reason, they're leaving him out of the attack. They're looking more to Best. They're looking more to Fletcher Sharp. So for me, I just don't see them finishing anything above the spoon. I don't know.
It's a shout. It's definitely a shout. But they got to start. They got to start pulling some wins together. I don't know. Apparently, some reports that Adam O'Brien might be on his way out. But there is that $2 million. They have to pay him $2 million.
Oh, bro,
$2 million just.
Bro, I'd be on
to
my
get
way
out.
out. I'd be sipping. I'd be sipping some
Beachside, both feet up, kicking back.
Yeah, literally. But for them, like I know there's a couple of coaches out on the market. There's Brad Arthur. There's Walters. There's
Mal Meninga wants to get back into coaching.
Look,
by the
Mal
sounds
Meninga,
of
they're linking him to Perth, and
He
for
fits
them
there,
it's
doesn't
best
he?
fit for Perth because they save two roles in one. They've got the mascot and the coach set in one because he does look like a bear himself. But I think their best option would be Brad Arthur because he has worked with Dylan Brown, who is obviously going there for the main playmaker role next year.
Look, they're obviously well below NRL standard at this point, but they've been below NRL standard in the first 15 rounds, maybe 3 years in a row now.
Yeah.
And then they somehow find a way
But
back into finals.
I
Say,
know.
as a Knights perspective, do you tell Adam O'Brien, mate, you've had your race. Obviously, you're not finishing where we need you to finish, or do you say, if you can get us into that next step this year, we'll keep you? Like, what would you do?
What would I do? It just depends on the club. So that the club, the board.
What would you do? It doesn't depend on the club.
I know.
What
I know.
would you do?
But what would I do? I don't know. Really don't know. I'll probably give him the season, see where he goes.
Or do you try and lock up a coach now?
Now, look, personally, I see no point in showing him the door now. We're just about halfway through the season. You may as well let him see it out, give him a bit of confidence, see what he can put together.
Yeah.
And then if it's not going to work out, it's not going to work
The
out.
only
Move him
reason,
on at the end.
only reason I don't know is because there's a hot take. Has he lost the dressing room? Do the players respect him as a coach?
Different argument.
It's
then.
a complete different argument. If that's the case, they have to show him the door now,
Yeah, they
or they really have to consider an interim or someone, or if they've lost if he has lost the dressing room.
It's just crazy for me because like they've gone and signed Dylan Brown for 1.3 mil a year when you've got Ponga who's busted his ass for however many years now. It's been like 6 years that he's been at the Knights. And then obviously there's other players in and around the dressing room that are like, why is he getting 1.3 when we've been here busting our balls? And for example, Hastings, he's gone and kicked him out of the club for no reason. He's got some personal vendetta against him.
It's funny.
But yeah, on to our next game. We had everything in this game. What tell me a better sport than rugby league, mate?
There's nothing.
There's nothing better.
Nothing.
We had Marky Mark. I know you've seen my TikTok where I said to him if I pronounced his name, my TV would levitate. But that try was worth absolutely everything. It was worth.
What a try! He's a player.
For me, in my opinion, that was one of the best tries we've seen in
Was
the
it
last.
last 6 errors and maybe costing your team the game?
That's what I was going to get to. He was the Roosters man of the match and the Bulldogs man of the
he
match
was their
in the
best
same
player
game.
and their worst player at the same
definitely.
time.
Like, what a try that was. I know you guys went to the game. I initially thought watching it live on TV that it had bounced out, and I was so shocked that he had kept it in. You know the skill to hop on one foot and then kick it with the other foot.
He's a freak. He's a freak. He's got that talent. He's just got that talent you can't coach.
If you're Marky, however you pronounce his name, do you walk out of the game with your head up or down?
Absolutely, you're 100% disappointed going home. You have to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I feel like you gotta. He's gonna feel that. He's gonna feel a sense of guilt, and he just because a lot of his errors led to our points.
Well, he did win them the game with that try, and then he lost them the game by not catching that Burnham bomb.
So he's gonna be shitty with himself. He's kicking himself definitely.
Yeah. Does this now make the Dogs a genuine contender for the title? Like, do we now take the Bulldogs seriously? Because you guys have been playing terrible in the first half for the last month. Can this keep up? Can this keep up when you're playing like the teams like Melbourne or Sharks or like, for example, we saw it a couple of weeks ago with the Broncos. Can you keep reeling in those big teams from a 20-point lead? Because the teams that you do come back against are the teams like, for example, Raiders, who are tipped to get wooden spoon, and Roosters, who are sort of like on a rebuild phase, you know what I mean? Yeah. Do you think you can still give away those 20-point leads? Does this make you a title contender? What do you think as a fan?
Look, we probably can't keep giving up these leads. It is going to catch up to us, especially since the way that I see Serraldo's style of play, it's so high intensity. The kick chase is one of the most important parts to our game right now. Kick chase, high intensity, getting off the line. That's naturally going to take a toll on you. If you're going to throw into that 16 to 20 point deficits at half time, we're not going to make it to round 20.
No, it's not probably. We definitely can't keep it up. It's just we've come out and played the second half footy. I don't know. I just want to be a fly in that dressing room wall. Just to say, I just want to know what he gives them. I want to know what Serraldo gives the players. Like, they just come out.
Maybe he goes on FaceTime with Shane Flanagan and asks him what he gives.
I don't know what he does, but it works. But no, later, like going on deeper into the season, especially finals footy. When you're talking about finals footy, if the Dogs are up in the top 4 and they're coming up against you, God knows, fucking Melbourne or Raiders, whoever is in the top 4 at the time, you can't not play first half footy. You got to play 80 minutes. You can't play just 40. And I know we've had our outs. I know we've got a lot of boys coming out of like debuting. Lou Smith debuted. We got Lippo Hopoi. He had to come in play big minutes because Spencer Lenu fucking cleaned the Saluka Fafita.
Jack Todd debuted, broke another arm.
Yeah, it's just we're playing these boys, but it's just the next man up mentality that these boys have. Like Lippo Hopoi had a crack. He came out and he played well. So it's just I know you can always argue and say Dogs are missing a lot of numbers in their pack. Whether if we're running a full strength squad and still not playing the first 40 minutes, it's a worry. But you just don't know how we play once we get everyone back. So it's a takeaway.
We're still very happy fans. Don't get me wrong. We're still very happy 100%. Fans.
Look, for me personally, I'm still in that phase that you guys were a couple years ago, where I'm losing my head over my team's stupid decisions. Mm-hmm. You guys obviously cannot complain about anything right now, sitting, 9 wins, 1 loss?
Yeah, no, probably not.
You guys can't be making any TikToks like me at this time.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, speaking of funky round, what was that call in the Dolphins-Warriors game? Peter Goff.
I don't know, mate.
Peter Goff.
I don't know.
What was that?
Did
you see fucking Tuivasa-Sheck drop the ball, drops it in front of him, he puts his hands on his head like, oh fuck, what have I done? The Dolphins players all stand still, the Warriors players stand still, and the Black guys play on.
No issues, none. Carry on.
And my problem with that, all right, fair enough, you missed it. But like, there's 4 people on the field and the fucking bunker looking at it, and what made it worse was it led to a try in the exact same set.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like, we can't... Imagine this happens in a grand final, and that was the match-winning try at the end of it, because they only lost by 4 points.
Yeah, the game ended up very
Could you imagine that decides a grand final or an Origin series?
Outrage.
Honestly.
We've had some...
What are they
outrage.
doing? You've got that many camera angles. You've got the bunker. You've got the touches.
How much
you've got
fucking
yourself,
more obvious?
You've got
How
your
much
own
more
eyes.
obvious?
You've got... what more do you want?
How much more obvious does it have to be before they call it a fucking knock-on? This bloke was... He dropped it, and it fell 12 metres in front of him. But the Warriors, man, they keep scraping. Well, they're sitting second with like 8 wins or 9 wins, whatever it is this year, with only a 5-point differential. Do we see them pushing top 4? Or do you think they're going to fall off?
Look, blowing out teams is one thing, but being able to win the tight ones, that's a sign of a very good team.
But the problem is, I don't think they can keep it up against the better teams. Like, for example, they just beat the Dragons when they scored less tries. They shouldn't have beaten the Dolphins if the calls were the right calls.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins blew how many tries? They had like 3 disallowed tries that game.
They did, yeah. But it's just these games that they shouldn't have won, and they've won. that probably gets them over the edge. I don't know. I don't think they make the top 4, just as the season gets deeper. But those games that they are winning where they shouldn't be winning, and they'll take those 2 points because it's the other 2 points. The other team doesn't get those 2 points. It's just that's what makes you the 8. So that's probably what gets them through the finals 40. But top 4 contention, I don't know. I don't think so.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but realistically, the Warriors are the flip side of the Dragons right now. They get in a tight game and they know how to get it done. You guys get in a tight game and it just goes wrong for you.
Yeah, I feel like we've been playing better footy than them. It's just that we haven't had the halves to ice it. Whereas if they've got Metcalf, who's possibly the best halfback in the competition right now, based on form, I'm not gonna sit here and say like player for player he's the best halfback, but on form he's probably the best halfback playing right now. And if you give us a player like that, we would be sitting where they're sitting right now. That's the only difference. Like we've been playing better football than them. It's just they've been lucky with like some calls as well. The refs, I know they've got this vendetta against the refs where they think the refs are like out to get them, but this year they've got the rub of the green.
Honestly, they've gotten some decent. Just that game alone, they've gotten some calls that have gone their way.
Yeah,
so you think a Luke Metcalf right now is the only thing separating a Warriors team and a Dragons team?
100%
in the ladder.
100%. But you know who else does have a good halfback and still can't manage to win their games is the Dolphins. That Katoa is a great player.
I love Katoa.
Can he take him to the 8?
Yeah.
Not this year.
As his experience goes on, yeah, definitely. 100%.
We're talking this year. Do you think he can?
This year?
Do you think he can guide him to an 8 this
They'll
year?
push for the 8. I reckon they'll push for the 8. I reckon if it's not goal difference that sets them apart, it's 2 points. I reckon they'll be fringe top 8.
They finish somewhere between 10th and 12th. I can't see them finishing lower than 12th, but I don't see them going any higher than 9th at an absolute push.
Yeah. No. Well, another couple of teams that are going to be on the brink of the 8. We had the Cowboys and Manly. What's going on? Like,
who knows what's going to happen with those two at this
I
point?
don't understand. Like, what's going on? Why is Manly persisting to play Turbo when he's been blown? Their Turbo has been blown. You need to replace it. The bloke needs a year off.
Yeah.
The bloke needs a year off. Like I said, like I had a TikTok about it because you had Andrew Johns talking about putting this bloke into Origin, but the bloke's got no hamstrings. He needs to go to your local deli, buy a batch of ham because he's got no hamstrings. I'm telling you, why are they persisting with playing this bloke?
He even called Laurie Daly and he said, "I'm not fit for it."
Yeah. So what I'm like, you've got players that are well capable enough to be playing football at fullback for them. You've got Hopewadi, you've got Garrick, you've got Kohler. Like they've got a bunch of fullbacks that are willing to play there and that can give 100%. Whereas if Turbo's only playing at 50% now. See, every time he made a run, he was he was disappointed that he couldn't run.
But it's sad to say. You're looking at probably a talent,
on
pure
talent, the best player in the comp.
Best
player in the comp.
Best fullback probably out there.
Yeah.
On when he's 100% fit and he's running, no one can stop him. It's just sad to see. Like, honestly.
Look, realistically, I think of Manly as they're at a point now where if they're going to win a premiership, it has to be with DCE, and this is obviously DCE's last year, and obviously I know at this point in time right now, maybe they're better off without Tom. But in the long term, you have to think about it. If they're going to push for a premiership this year, Trbojevic has to be there.
He has to be
I would agree with you if he was fully fit.
Yeah.
Because in those big games where you could see if you watch the game properly, like even when he was backing up on those 2 breaks where he dropped the ball, he looked very disappointed in himself that he couldn't get there. In those big games, you can't be dropping those balls. I know Cowboys were very off their game, but I'd prefer to have a player 100% and give the 100% effort than someone at 50%. Because then what happens if he does go down in one of those big games? Then we've got a major reshuffle and we've got players out.
Look, I don't think he's not giving us. He's giving 100%, but he can't to his full potential. Like he's out there trying to give 100%.
It's like his mind is working, but his body isn't keeping up. With his mind.
His mind. He wants to give that 100%. He wants to do everything, but I think it's just his body not letting him.
If for some reason the Dragon season turns around and they finish say 7th. And they've got an elimination final to play, and Gutherson's like 50-50. You take the chance on him because when he's at his best, he can win you the game. You have to look at it the same way with Manly.
I agree with you, but complete different positions. They've got a much better, well-rounded team that can win them games. Like they've still got Garrick, they've still got DCE.
They're not Turbo, but
Luke Brooks.
None of them are Turbo, but if Turbo can switch it on, you can't compare it to anything in the world.
Speaking of position changes. Purge at 5'8", mate.
I don't know.
What a stinker.
What was he thinking?
If it's not broke, why fix it? Why?
Clifford's been in nice form. Clifford's
He's
been playing
possibly
very well.
they had a terrible start to the season. They brought in Clifford and he
Yeah.
decided to control the ship and they unlocked Drinkwater, unlocked Dearden. Neno's been back in form. You know what I mean?
Purgel was getting better every week, but as I was thinking, I don't know. It's been, if it's true or not, but if they've given him that number 6 jersey because they want to try and lock in him, I know it's their plans, long-term plans for Purgel to be their 6, alongside Dearden. I don't know. Have they thrown him the 6 jersey just to make him happy that he doesn't go and look at other clubs and express interest in other clubs? But he has been getting better at centre week in, week out. So I feel like there could have been a better time to bleed him through to the 6 jersey.
They just jumped the gun.
I feel like they've just jumped the gun.
Yeah, look, it's not a bad idea, but the problem is with them, they actually can be a contender this year based on their form. They've still got the players to do it with Robson. Like, he's going to be leaving next year. Why not try it this year? Why not play your best players in your positions this year? And then if it doesn't work, it's not like we've got 5 games to go. They've got nowhere to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've still got a season on the line. Why would you not put out your best team?
They just lost the game they should have won, and they're still sitting 7th or 8th right now.
Yeah, literally, they're still in the top 8. And we'll keep it on the topic of great centers. Kale Iro, man,
He's a freak.
Unreal.
He
scored every single game this year.
honestly.
It's unbelievable to see what he's done. Like he was injured with a hamstring issue for 4 weeks. He's come back and it's like he's not missed a beat. This bloke, I think we're talking about like a generational talent there. Like,
could be. Very well could be.
He's one of the guarantees in life. There's death, taxes, and Kaoira scoring a try. I swear.
Yeah, no, he's been amazing. Like, and you know his link up with Mulatalo, Ronaldo. You know his shithousery.
Yeah.
Them two working next to each other. I got to ask you, what are your thoughts on it?
Look, I guess.
What are your thoughts on that shithousery?
I guess the easiest way of looking at this, and I think we'd all feel the same. If he's doing it for your team, you're over the moon about it. He gets hit, but when he's not playing for your team, he gets under your player's skin. He gets under yours as well.
Yeah,
I think
it's a part of the game, but
yeah, I think
it's a part of the game.
We just need a Sam Burgess to come back and tell him to get the fuck back on his feet. But no, it was a good game. It was a really solid game. There was a lot of tension. It's like they brought back their rivalry, like their recent rivalry.
It was good to see. It was actually a really good game.
It was does this now make us think that Sharks are a title contender? Are they now like turn the corner where they're like, we can now beat these top teams because they've beaten Manly, they've beaten Melbourne, like they've done those solid games. The only team they haven't beat, and unfortunately that game they had 3 players out, they were playing with a 1-man bench, was against the Dogs, and you guys absolutely ambushed the fuck out of them. That was like the Vietnam War. Does that now make the Sharks a title contender in your eyes?
Like if you're looking at their team on paper, they're a guaranteed. They're a top 4 team, arguably a top 2 team. I feel like the greatest thing that has happened to them, not the greatest thing, but a very good boost for them in their pack was bringing AFB in, where he doesn't shrug down from the big games. He thrives off it. So he's just giving them that extra go forward. So you got your pack moving forward. It gives your halves a bit of freedom to do something. I feel like what they figured out now finally is who's running the team. Is it Nicholas? Is it Hines? Is it Trindle? I feel like in the beginning of the season they both wanted to run the team, and that's where they were kind of stuffing it up. But yeah, I feel they can contend, but it's going to take them time.
Look, the question was, are they title contenders? I don't think so yet, because even if I just think back to last year, they had a mad win in Magic Round. It might have been against the Storm. And I feel like the week before or the week after, they had beaten Penrith without Hines as well. Atkinson stepped up incredibly. But as per usual, they got to the finals and they blew it.
The only difference this year, I think, like back to his point, I feel like they figured out who their main playmaker is.
Yeah.
Hines was never going to be able to steer that team. Like we've seen it in recent history, but having Trindle there takes off a lot of pressure from him and it allows him to play his running style that he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hines has looked better this year, definitely.
I still think that they can push for that grand final spot.
Maybe.
Whether or not they win it, but I think they can be that second team alongside Melbourne, maybe even the Bulldogs or Canberra this year.
Freaking hope it's the Dogs.
I hope not, because my uncle goes for the Bulldogs, and all he does is post my TikTok saying, "I'm so happy this guy got blocked. I'm so happy this and that."
Jay says uncle is a great man. We'll try and get him on one day.
We don't talk about bold people here.
Shit.
Speaking about my team, did any of you give us any hope?
No.
Never. Absolutely not. No way.
I had the faith in it. I had the faith in the team.
You've had the faith every
But
week.
you have faith in every
You've
like
had the
every
faith
every
every
week
week.
Hey,
you
no,
go
no,
into
no.
a game,
You
you gotta
listen
have
to
a
me.
bit of
I
faith.
told you we would lose to Tigers at Magic Round.
No, you didn't.
And I said
No,
we
you
would
didn't.
lose to
No,
Eels.
you didn't. I asked you. I said I'm going to tip the Tigers. I said, are you 100% sure in a victory? You said no. You didn't say I think Tigers will win.
Thank you very much. I said before all this stuff happened, I said we're the team, like, because I know how my team plays. We would beat Melbourne and then lose to Eels.
Yeah, he
And
did say
everyone,
that.
everyone
He
called
did-
me
he
a
did say that.
crazy
He
person
did.
and a lot more nasty words. But this week, I think, was our best performance. I know we beat Melbourne. I know we've beat Manly away. But I think this was our best performance. We're coming up against a Brisbane team that was desperate to win. And
Yeah.
like I've been hearing from inside of their camp that their forwards absolutely got bashed to a point where they haven't been bashed this year because Clemmer, one of the best defensive props. We had Blake Lowry who was coming back with a mindset that he wants to prove the fans wrong. Like he wants to prove that
He
he
wants
can.
to prove you
I
wrong.
think
That's
it's just
everyone,
you who's
bro.
been criticising
I think that's
him.
who he wants to
Who's
prove
the
wrong.
fans?
Well, yeah, like he's coming out with a point, and like there's been a couple of injuries, like Payne Haas, Carrigan's coming out with an injury.
Yeah,
Billy
Carrigan.
Walters said he got hit by Blake Lowry to the point where he thought he got hit by a truck.
They've walked away very, very banged up.
Does
Even
this
Cobbo wrist injury?
Yeah, Cobbo, I think that he broke his wrist. You know what I mean? Does this help the Dragons push for an 8 spot, or is this more of a like Broncos and?
No, look. You have to take a bit of credit. You guys turned up.
Yeah.
You played I think easily your best game of the season, and you went to Suncorp and you ambushed them.
That's
Yeah.
what. Yeah, I feel like that's what it is. I know Broncos are a bit of a down on their. I don't know what's happening there. I really don't. They can't have an excuse of, oh, we're getting coached too hard, or we're training too hard, or Walters was nicer to us. It's go out there and play.
You're a
Play
professional
footy.
player.
A
play
player
some
lost
footy.
his job over liking a photo or a video.
Yeah,
over on
yeah.
Instagram.
I know, but I feel like it's the reason he got sacked. But I feel like there's more business terms behind it.
Well, of course, he was
Freeing
not going
up
to get
some-
renewed
yeah,
at the end
he's
of the year.
35
It was
years
just-
old.
yeah.
Chappelle's not part of their plans. I don't think.
He's
I don't think
definitely
they
not
care.
part of their plans, and I feel like he's like, fuck, I've got to. That's his excuse. That's why I'm gonna like. It's not a sackable offense, but like they saw a little bit of a open door, and he took it. He's managed to move on from the club, and they'll free up space because they've got players coming off contract anyway. You've got Reynolds, you've got Payne Haas. Probably, I think next year's his last year on his
I
contract,
think so.
Yeah.
and you've got Cobbo as well. So you got to make some way. It's like not the nicest way to go about it, but he's had to make some way to.
Look, I can't really
Possibly
complain
resign.
this week because there was a couple of games this year I didn't want to lose. Number 1, Bulldogs at Cogra. We lost. Number 2,
Para.
Eels. Lomax kicked the field goal
Yeah,
with a broken foot right in front of me. I
Lomax.
wanted to jump off the fucking second level of Combang. Number 3, Anzac. It's never good losing an Anzac Day.
Definitely
Especially the way that we fucking lost.
And especially with all of us with you as well.
Literally,
Yeah.
yeah. Literally, it wasn't nice. And number 4, Ben Hunt. Ben fucking Hunt.
Imagine Ben
It's
Hunt.
yeah,
I
like
think
he
he
was
would have won
playing-
them that game. I think Ben would have.
he could go fuck himself. Ezra man scored 1 try and set up 3. He had the game of his
I
life.
don't think Ben Hunt would have done anything better for him. But Ezra Man returned, and it's like he hasn't missed a beat.
The only thing that we can like discredit him for was missing that tackle on Little, which allowed him to run that 75 meters.
Yeah,
And
it's still a
What a
bit
player!
rusty.
What a player!
oh yeah, and the
he
four,
did throw the forward pass.
I can't believe I
was
haven't even-
blatantly
yeah.
forward.
that was
Yeah.
Tom Brady
Got away
like.
with
That
it.
was
Look,
Tom
it
Brady
was.
at the Super Bowl like.
That's a wrong decision, 100%.
What do you mean wrong decision? They have 4 fucking once again like the Warriors game. There's 4 fucking people watching this game that
I
are
said wrong
officials.
decision. Yeah,
And this thing went about 10 meters forward.
Yeah,
did.
it was
Yeah, it did.
blatantly
It did.
like it was full
Yeah.
Hail Mary type of pass.
But yeah, like I've seen a lot of like comments where it's like, oh, if Jacob Little was a car full of 3 girls or something, he would have chased him down and
People are
killed-
too much, man.
You know what I mean?
People are too much.
I didn't know
That's
where you were
just-
going with that.
Ugh.
Just before we move on, we haven't. Well, it's obviously our first time on camera. I think I can speak for everyone when I say none of us think Ezra Mam should be playing this year.
I agree,
At least
100%.
this year.
I agree.
At
Oh,
least
yeah,
this year.
yeah, he's.
I'm not
Whatever,
saying
the punishments happen. I know there's been a lot of talk about it, but
You got fined $850 by the government. If I do something like that, I get sent back to a cave in Afghanistan or something.
I know.
They wouldn't even check where I'm from. They'll just be like, yep,
Yeah.
desert.
Look, I'm not necessarily saying that he should never play again, but this year he should be chalked off completely. He shouldn't be eligible to play
Yeah,
this
he
year
got
for
off-
us.
Is this
Maybe he should be thrown
look,
out forever. I'm just not saying that.
are,
now.
are we
Nah.
are we like more upset at the NRL or the club for not taking?
You got to put
think
it more
it's
on the
the
NRL.
NRL.
You
I
have
think
to
it's
put
the
it more
NRL.
on the
But the
NRL.
club could have had a moral.
They definitely
compass
could
like
have.
this.
Yeah.
Because they're sitting here saying, "Oh, we're morally correct. We're not going to let players talk bad about our coach." But you've had a player that's gone and almost ended the life of a.
There's a contradiction.
young
There
girl.
definitely is a contradiction.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's.
Do we reckon he drove home? Speaking of long drives home, the Titans driving back from
Oh,
Canberra.
that must have sucked.
What do you reckon was said on the plane back home?
I don't even know if
even
Des
know.
has words anymore. I don't even know
I
what
don't know.
Des.
Is Des-
I don't know
well,
what Des
if
can
Des
do.
Is
wants-
Des going to keep his job this year?
Yeah,
Because
no,
I heard that they've got the
maybe.
clause
I
in
was
the
about to say
contract that
that.
if he doesn't make the 8, that
If there's no 8, it's he's out. But I don't know.
And
I don't think they make the 8. To
the
be
8's
honest.
looking almost impossible for them now.
Yeah, I know you've got Tino trying his freaking heart out just to pull a win out of somewhere. The bloke is about to turn into Houdini. He's trying to make a win out of nothing
He did a chip and chase against us.
against the Dogs. Yeah, tried anything. He
I
turned into
can't believe
freaking
it.
Benji
You
Marshall.
had a 2-door fridge, do a chip and chase, and absolutely collect Tracy.
Trace
ran over his
Imagine you're
corpse.
Connor Tracy.
He touched. You reckon he touched the ball?
Probably, yeah. He probably
Yeah.
did touch it. But
I
how
don't
can you
care.
blame Connor Tracy?
There's
Right?
no-
Imagine,
there's
imagine
no
being
pro-
Connor Tracy in that situation. You see Tino running at you.
Literally a double door fridge.
Oh, bro.
I'd
he
be
would've
so
shat
scared.
bricks.
He ran over his corpse and then almost scored one of the best
Yeah.
forward tries I've seen with a chip and chase. That bloke, honestly, he deserves a lot better, Tino. I feel like he
Yeah.
deserves a better club.
Yeah,
Because
well,
the Gold
yeah.
Coast are not going to win him. Let's be honest. I don't see
No,
them
you
winning
can't
a
see
premiership in
You
the
can't see it.
foreseeable
there-
future.
is
They
there
can't
a-
even tell you who their best fucking fullback is right now.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Kinney has to be.
But
He's
then-
injured. He's had a neck injury. He's out for like.
He's out for a while.
Yeah, until like after the origin period. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of excuse.
Yeah,
Look-
I agree.
look-
Like
look-
with Kinney, like he's obviously there, but then what do you do with Brimson?
I don't know.
I think he's so wasted at 6, but I also think he's so wasted in the centres as well.
Of course, I
Yeah,
feel
he
like he's
can't
their
play
best
centre.
fullback
He has to,
because let's be for real. Foreign's he's on his deathbed right now. They're about to pull the plug on him. We're gonna get a flat line on his heart rate soon. But their best halfback going forward is Campbell. And then who do you play at 6? Who do you play at fullback? What do we do with this team? man?
Jaden Campbell and AJ Brimson, the same player if you're going to put them in the half.
That's what I'm saying.
They're
Like
the
this
same
team,
player.
based on the paper, like if you look at their team on paper, in every single position, they've got one of the most talented players ever. Like for example, you look at David Fafita. If he takes his 5-minute burst throughout a game and does it for like 60 or 70 minutes, who stops him?
No one.
What stops Titans
one.
from putting
No
30, 40 points on the board every time?
Mm.
And they don't even want him there because they've got someone like Bo Fermor who's willing to work that extra.
Oh, but yeah, Bo, you've seen Bo Fulmer's been killing it recently.
Just earned
You
himself
can't-
for Origin
yeah,
selection. How could
Exactly.
you fault him?
But that's the same thing in every position that they've got. Besides, obviously, Tino, who's their only 80-minute player that plays for 80 minutes with 100% effort. He's willing to put his body on the line. You've got Campbell, who can't... Like, I don't see him as a 7. I see him more of a 6. I don't think he can control a
Yeah,
team just
agreed.
yet. Kinney
Yeah.
as well. He's like a really young player. They've got some good
They're a
wingers.
very young team. They're a very young team. It takes that time. Like Campbell's gonna need a few years to learn the traits of a 7. Like he wasn't a 7, but he's got to learn the traits of I reckon he can probably do a job there, but him being that young, it's gonna take time. It's good he's got 4 in there, teach him a few things, teach him the ropes. But in terms of, I don't know, are they trying to do a Melbourne where it's a team full of ones, or one you've got 1, 6, 7, all those? All
The
coming
only
through
difference
as
is
one, or-
at Melbourne, they've got Bellamy.
Oh, I know that's the difference. But
That bloke turned Chasey Blair, the only idiot to wear long sleeves,
What a moron.
into a premiership winner.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I know Des Hasler's past it, but 2012 Des Hasler would have made those 3 fullbacks the best players in the game.
It's just old school tactics, and he's trying to
But
bring
that's
it
the
into
thing,
a
the
new
game's
game.
changed. It's you.
Would you call him the Jose Mourinho of NRL?
Well, at least Mourinho won a couple of comps, bro. This bloke's only won one comp.
Yeah, but still, like the best tactician of his time just went a bit too long.
I don't think he was the best tactician at his time. I feel like he knew how to get the best out of his players at the time.
Yeah,
Like, he knew how to get his team to work hard. Like, if we look at the Bulldogs team back then, it was
It's
never
nothing
about
special.
talent. It was
It's
all
nothing
about hard
But
work.
no one else gets that out of Sam Cassiano than Des Hasler. No one else gets that version of Sam Cassiano out of him.
That's tough. I think Bennett and Bellamy, they both respectively do.
yeah.
It's just he was also another manager, coach or manager, player, whatever you want to say, at the time that knew how to get a team to work hard together,
Yeah, he did.
and it worked. It's not going to work with this Titans team because no one wants to work hard besides Tino.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
What do you
He's
do with
trying to
David Fafita? Do you play him? Do you fuck him off?
No,
do you
well,
free up
if he
the
doesn't,
cap?
if he doesn't want to, if he's got to earn his stripes again, he's got to play reserve grade, play Queensland Cup, and do what you can to get back in the first grade squad.
Do you fuck him off out of the club now? Do you send him packing?
Look, I don't know.
No, you persevere, bro. You paid him
think
this
you-
much money. You,
He's a
you
talent.
give it another go.
He's-
But he
he's
doesn't
got so
even look
much
like he
talent.
wants to be there. He looks very lazy. He looks like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's gonna be like what you said with the. Well, now we can compare him to Jose Mourinho because it's like a Jose Mourinho versus Pogba sort of thing, where it's like it's either Des Hasler or Fafita.
Definitely.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Beautiful.
So yeah,
that's
so we
great.
can actually call him Jose Mourinho.
I knew I was going somewhere.
You're an idiot. You fell upon a fucking rock and then you hit your head. A bright light came up and this looks like I'm a genius.
That's me, boys.
But yeah, no, like it's gotten to a point where it's like it's either Des or it's Fafita, and at the end of the day, I feel like Des will bring more to the club than what Fafita can because he's never going to be an 80-minute player. He's just lazy.
Yeah, but if he can match the hard work with the amount of talent that he has, he'll be the best second row in the comp by far,
Yeah.
easily.
Well,
Who's going to stop him?
No one. But speaking of good second rows, there's one of them who moved into prop, Kaloa Matangi, for the
He's a
Rabbitohs.
freak.
What a player. What a player.
Unreal.
I actually had him at Origin, but he's unlucky that we've got, like, in the previous game, we had Hudson Young, who's the most informed second rower this year.
Yeah, I know.
You
I
know what I
agree.
mean?
Like, look, we'll get on the Origin team list soon, but I feel like Keon should have had a spot there. Even on the bench, it's just I know you've got Mitch Barnett who can cover different positions, but when you got Keon there, he can play left edge, right edge, through the middle, 13. Like he's versatile and he does it. Like he will do a job.
Yeah.
Like you saw him, the minutes he can play straight. Like what was that last week or a couple of weeks ago?
Played 74
74
minutes.
straight.
There's not
And
many players
he
like
was
him going around.
I was watching the game. He was in every tackle. Like he was making 3-4 tackles a set.
I noticed in the 77th minute when the Tigers were really rolling back into the game, Keon took two carries in the same set.
Yeah.
He took the first and then he took the third.
He would have done a job. He would have done a job for the Blues.
He's an effort player. Like when we
He
talk
is,
about
yeah.
effort players, he's one of those players that is effort. He might not be the most talented in his position, but because he's willing to put in the effort, you can play him at lock, you can play him at second row, you can play him at prop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would have loved to see him go into that Origin squad, but man, what do we do? Like we've
I
got so
know.
many players.
There's
we've
so
got-
much
We'll get
talent.
to that. We'll get to that.
You know what I mean? But that Tigers Rabbits game, Galvin. These past couple of weeks, man, they had a Jaden Sewer dropped over the line for them to win the game, and
Yeah.
now they've had a Galvin dropped over the line to lose
Yeah.
them the game.
Yeah.
We even had Rob Toya last week drop his lollies over the line.
Yeah,
What do we
bro.
do? Do we bring back super glue? Do we bring back gorilla glue? What do we do? What's wrong with
What's
these
that spray
players?
that they use on they spray
I
themselves?
don't know. But have you ever shaken a player's hands when they've
No.
played footy?
Yeah.
It's like a
Crazy.
Venus flytrap
Crazy,
sort of
yeah.
like, you know, your hands get stuck to them. It's disgusting. Like, get off me, you little sticky bloke. But what do you do? Galvin, since he's been dropped, I
Yeah.
personally believe he's gone backwards.
Look, I thought his return game against the Sharks was incredible.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. He set up the first try, came up with an awesome tackle under the sticks, but since then he hasn't been able to recapture it. But
I
you
feel
know
like
what?
yeah.
How does someone bounce back from that 64-0?
I was about to. That's what I was about to say. Like that loss to Melbourne would have, especially being a young kid playing first grade, where at his age you'll see a lot of his, like probably every half at his age is still in reserve grade, and he just got smacked by Melbourne. Well, not him. The whole team got smacked by Melbourne, and he's got to learn. Like he's got to bounce back from that. I don't think he's bounced back from that.
Well,
As a
I can't even put it down to his age because we've got Katoa who's still very young.
Yeah,
Katoa's
that's
only
true.
18,
That's
19. We
true.
had Amon come through a couple of years ago at 18 years old.
That's true.
Like, we've had a couple of young players come through who look more hungry to play for their team than he does. Like,
He's on the way out. So.
in his mind, he's like, I don't care whether I play good
Yeah,
or
he
not. I'm
doesn't.
chasing the money. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
he's got to play good in a sense where he hasn't signed anything.
Do you think he's maybe got something locked in?
100%.
On the download?
100%.
Of course, but
100%. You don't come out and say what you've said about the coach and then make yourself look like a bigger idiot by staying with him.
Maybe
Because
you do
you've
if
gone
Isaac
out in
Moses
public
is your
and you've
manager.
said, Benji Marshall is not the best thing for my career. You know what I mean? You can't come back and be like, I'm going to play for you.
yeah,
So people are going to be like, what's wrong with this bloke?
yeah.
He's a nutcase, you know what I mean? Like, I think he's genuinely on his way out, but
I don't think he plays next year.
yeah,
I
no,
think
no.
this is his last year of
So
footy
then
with
if
the
that's the
Tigers.
case, do you try and play, what's his name? Fainu, you know, the
Yeah.
young seven that's coming through. Do you play him at 7 and play
I don't know. A lot of
Luai at 6.
Look, you don't know. Like, it's tough for them because this is the best year they've had in a long time.
but they're not going to win the grand final, man.
Of
No,
course
of
they're not going
course
to win the
not.
grand
They
final.
won't even make
but-
top 4. They'll be lucky to make top 8, in my opinion.
Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, is that still not a success considering they're
Of course,
they're
not
three-time
winning.
wooden spoons?
Yeah, of course, not winning the
And
spoons
they're
is
more,
success.
they're more likely to get the 8 with Galvin than without him.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
for me, why
But
would you not bleed that player now so that
I've-
next year you can
I
push
feel
for
like
it
you
again?
can bleed him through in drips and drabs, but every week you want to go out there and field your best 13.
Because realistically,
Like
man,
that's
yeah,
that's the way. Well, as a coach, that's the way.
if you're a Tigers fan
Marshall's.
right now,
that's the way Marshall's thinking.
for sure. If you're a Tigers
Every
fan,
week, this is probably the best season that we've had in a long time. I want to go out there. I want to. Look, they did it when he came out and the whole controversy came out about his story that he wants to leave and whatnot. They dropped him. The players said, I don't know. The players apparently supposedly said they don't want to play with him. They dropped him, and then next week Marshall's like, no, that wasn't the best thing for our club. I want to field the best 13. I feel like that's what they're doing just week in, week out. I don't think they're going to completely sack him because he doesn't want to stay there and then try to bleed in Fainu. And then what if that doesn't work? I think best thing they can do is feed Fainu in like in drips and drabs. Maybe play a 14 role. I know they've got the silver there as well, but maybe in a few games, I don't know, swap that 14 jersey with Fainu, give him a bit of a crack.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Galvin needs to keep playing this season.
I feel like he does.
I don't know. You know who else is in shambles as well? The NRL. How can you have a game at 6 p.m. when the Origin team lists are already been named? Like these players that are playing, like for example, I know he was never going to get named, Terrell May, and like Keon, who were on the brink of Origin, they won't even get their time to like put their last minute say in. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like that 6 p.m. time slot on a Sunday is terrible, especially during like an Origin selection.
Of course, because Laurie's already made up his mind, and Blues for some reason always go first. So he's made up his mind. I know, like Tigers. Think about it. They've had you had Appy knocking on the door. They had Luai knocking on the door loudly. You had May knocking. Also, like all three of them. They're 6, they're 9, they're 10, all knocking on the door. You got even Keon, like you said. They're all pushing for the Origin spot. Like, what else can they do in that game? Like, if they didn't do well the week before and Tigers didn't do well,
That's what I mean. Like
it
that
just
could be
cements
like that could be the swing. Like for example, that Appy performance and that Terrell May performance, for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
that could have been the swing for them getting the Blues jersey or not.
definitely.
But they've got that 6 p.m. game where Laurie Daly's already submitted his team list.
He
and
already
it's
knows
like-
his team. He's not changing it.
Where do you put that game, but
That's what I mean. Like the NRL's in shambles because
do you
that
give
they
2 players a bye? Do you give two more teams a bye that week?
No.
no, but they should never have played that Origin game, that women's Origin game on the Thursday. Why is it on a Thursday? Why isn't it on a traditional Wednesday? Or why isn't it during
Yeah.
the like? Why isn't it a weekend
Maybe
game?
there's something behind it in terms of the field and where they play and television rights and
It
whatnot.
could
but
also have something to do with viewership.
viewership, yeah.
Like
There
you
could
put,
be a
you, put,
thing.
you put the women's standalone on a Thursday. A lot of people who aren't that plugged in might sit down on a Thursday, put on Channel 9, expect
Do you know
the men.
what? Do you know what another thing is? Like, there's always Thursday night footy. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
people who aren't keeping track with NRLW and the Origin there, if someone will be like, "There's no NRL," like us. Like, I don't watch NRLW, but I'm so
Yeah.
used to watching footy on a Thursday.
Isn't
And
that
I-
what I
and
just said?
What?
Isn't that what I just said?
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, something like the same thing. But I'm just like going along with that point. Like,
yeah.
I don't watch the Women's State of Origin, but because there was nothing on, I chucked it on.
Yeah,
Like,
same.
I'll watch it because it's footy.
But honestly, that women's Origin, there was some suspicious tackling. They had some Bluetooth tackling happening in
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah.
That's suspicious. But if that's the case, they want to play it on the Thursday night. Like, good on them. Like, they might have got more viewership for it. Then move the team list announcement to Monday. Why are you announcing it like before
Yeah,
the full
exactly.
time?
Don't move a game. Move
You know,
the team
I had
list.
the team list sent to me that morning. Like, I had the team list sent to me on the Sunday morning. Like, because
Yeah.
someone had leaked it, and they're like, "Oh, this is what's going to get confirmed for blah blah blah."
Even the Queensland team list came out the day before they.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's unfair on these players that have that last day to like prove themselves, and then they're like, "Well, we didn't get our chance." You know what I mean? And like, with the Origin team list, it's so unfair that we have to go first, and then Queensland can make last minute alterations where they're like, "Oh, they've picked him instead of him, so
Yeah,
we'll throw this
exactly.
player in."
Yeah.
That goes down to an idea that a follower actually messaged me. I had a follower message me saying they should do it like a NBA draft or an NFL draft sort of thing where everyone, like, for example, the two coaches are sitting down at a table and then they go like, for our fullback, we've gone Dylan Edwards, for example, and then they go, we've gone Kalen Ponga. And then it creates like that intense,
That'll be sick.
you know what I mean?
That'll
Like
be
people
sick.
are sitting in the room waiting for like, oh, who's getting drawn,
Yeah.
And then you hear like Edwards number 1 and then they go Ponga and then you're like, oh, wow.
That'll create so much hype.
What do you reckon?
I think it's a great idea. I think that would be a really, really nice spectacle.
Because, like, for example, I know. We all watched like Premier League, so we watched like football and stuff. The best thing about back in the day was when there was no insight to like what transfers were gonna be. Like we'd have like, for example, a random player rock up to your team and say like, "I'm here." Like we had Wilfred Bonny signed for Swansea, and his transfer signing was him singing his own song. You know what I mean? But now because we've got
What a time to be alive.
yeah, like now we've got
honestly.
Fabrizio who ruins that whole sort of like hype around it.
Here we go.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you know before the player even knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why not bring that excitement back to the NRL? Like, why can't we sit down in a room?
The teams are always going to get leaked. Whether you're sitting down in a room or not,
No.
that team's going to get leaked.
But, like, if we sit them down in a room and like, they're sitting down and they're looking at who's eligible at, like, say this is a Monday night thing. Like, you know how we do the Dally M as a standalone on a Tuesday? We sit them down in a room and we're like to them, okay, this is who is eligible. You pick through the list now. Obviously, they in mind have who they've got. But imagine like the hype around it where you're hearing like who's going up pair for pair, like who's going to be facing against each other.
That will be.
Do you know how much views they would get?
Yeah.
it would.
Yeah.
Whereas if
I'll
now
get
no
goosebumps
one
watching
listens, no one listens to their team announce their team. You know what I mean? You just go onto Instagram or Facebook and you're like, oh, that's the
Yeah.
Blues team.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had like a Monday night segment where we're like, oh, we're gonna have a draft. You're telling me you wouldn't tune in to see
Of course.
Of course.
who's gonna line up at number 7 for the Blues this year?
We'd meet up for that. We'd meet up and watch it
Of
together.
course.
Bro, definitely.
Of course, I'd be so G'd up.
Because there was so much like who's
Like
the
for
sixth
example,
Blues?
like for 6, yeah, like you were saying, the 6. Imagine we're sitting there and then you hear number 6 Mitchell Moses, and then you're like, yeah, the
yeah.
can't wait.
And the people who wanted Luai will be like whatever, be a bit upset. And people who wanted Moses will be over the moon. Like there's always the team list will supposedly get leaked all the time, but it will get leaked to that selected. It's not going to get leaked to the millions that watch NRL.
Bro, who am I? I'm just a random bloke from the area that got the team list leaked to him. Who am I to know who the team list is before the team does?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that would have been like something mad. And we're speaking about the team list. It's like, I feel like there's a couple of players that have been done dirty with the Blues squad, and even the Queensland squad. We'll go to the Queensland squad next, but let's
Yeah.
talk about the Blue squad. Like for example, we've got Dylan Edwards at fullback.
Yeah.
Other Blues, I'm very confused with them. I don't know if they're going based off loyalty, where we had that Queensland dynasty where they played good or bad. We're gonna stick with them. The Blues have done that in some positions, and in other positions they've just gone and said, we're gonna pick on form.
I know what you mean, but I feel like someone like Dylan Edwards, I feel like it was his position to lose. I don't know. Like Panthers haven't been the best. I know Teddy's. There's a lot of other fullbacks that have been on better form than him at the season, but has he done anything that will warrant? I know it's his turn to play number 1 for the Blues, and he did it last Origin series, but
Look, I gotta disagree with you there because for me, Edwards doesn't bring to a team what, like a Teddy or a Turbo, a fully foot
yeah,
Turbo
he
would
can't play
bring. You know what I
Turbo.
mean?
Yeah,
Like Edwards is just that player that grabs the ball and will just run you those
I know.
150, 200 meters a game. Like he's not that player where he must be in the team. Like it's not his position to lose, and it's unfair for someone like Pappy who's played the season of his life, and he doesn't even get like a call into the squad.
Look, I think Pappy should have been in the squad, but look, I agree with you partially that Edwards doesn't bring everything that some other players bring, but maybe the game plan is to get that creativity out of Moses, out of Cleary, out of Robson. Maybe the game plan.
Look, Dylan Edwards doesn't have zero creativity.
Of course, he doesn't have zero. Of course, he doesn't.
He has
Well,
the
if you had zero
creativity.
creativity, you'd be Kyle Flanagan. So
But no, look, like the game plan here could like legit. Our game plan could be get Critter early ball, get Latrell early ball, see what they do.
like for me, I understand he might work better with Moses and Cleary than Teddy because Teddy does tend to get his hands on the ball.
Yeah.
A lot more than what Edwards would. Edwards doesn't really go in looking for that game-breaking play. He'll just do his role. But Pappy is also a role player, man, and he's been playing a lot better than him. He can also break open the game with his speed out the back, man. I feel like he's very hard done by.
He's also a huge liability.
That's the
In
thing.
in what sense, but?
His head knocks over the last few years, and his knees have given out on him a few times.
But if you're gonna
This is the toughest game that we offer.
yeah, but if you're gonna go based off that, then you're never picking your best squad ever.
Look, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, but Pappy in the last maybe 3 years, Pappy's played like apart from this season, Pappy's played like 10 games in 3 years.
Well, man,
I-
what's fair then?
Look, I get it, but
But you can't
as an
say-
Origin coach, you have to think like this.
I know, but the thing is, Pappy's played 10 games in 3 years, and he's played pretty much this whole season.
He's played 10 games this season now.
Yeah, Rob
He has.
Toyer hasn't played NRL yet.
True.
And he's been picked on in the centres.
You know
for
what I mean?
Queensland.
Queensland has their selection method down pat.
They have a different
We
process.
play you until you expire.
Yeah.
And then if you've expired, we'll bring in the next best player
Yeah.
that can play there for 10 years until they expire.
Yeah.
We don't even have a selection method.
No, look,
No,
we
we
don't.
don't.
We don't have
I
Like,
don't know- I
have
don't
we
know what
based,
our
have
method
we
is.
have we picked based on form? Have we picked based on loyalty?
I
Like,
think
what's going on?
we've picked based on what worked last year because we won.
But
we,
if that's the case, then why is Cleary playing?
but he's the
Why is
best
Hudson
seven in
Young
the
playing?
game.
Hudson Young didn't
That's the
work
thing.
last
Like
week.
it's weird. It's the way I know
It's a new
it
coach.
is.
It's a new coach. He's doing it his
He's
own
not a
way.
new coach. He's just a moron. He's had his turn. He's won us that one series. I think he will. I'm not sure. He may have been the coach when we won that one series.
He did win us a series. He did.
But other than that, he was lucky. Honestly, he was lucky. We won the fucking series 6-4, man. Come on. What Origin game ends 6-4? This bloke, he doesn't even know himself. He's gone and said, I remember when there was a video that went around like yesterday of him talking about why he picked Max King. There's a footage of it. He's
Yeah.
like,
He refers
Yeah.
back to a game
against the Titans.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
it
like,
was
oh,
back to
Max
the
King
Titans,
made a
yeah.
hit up, and then the Titans take an intercept, and he's the first one back to make the second tackle. Max King was the last person in the line. And it's not disrespect to Max King, but this bloke has no idea what he's talking about. And he's gone and said,
Breaking news.
Yeah.
The Brisbane Broncos will investigate an incident where superstar fullback Reece Walsh is seen punching another man to the ground in a viral video that is
No
posted on
way.
social media.
well, if you didn't hear
Wow.
that,
You
we've
wanna
just
repeat
had
that,
breaking
Peter? You wanna
news.
repeat
Yeah.
that?
Wow.
Reece Walsh is
Wow.
being investigated by the Broncos for punching another person down to the ground in a footage. What's wrong with the
Origin
Broncos?
talk right now. Stop Origin talk right now.
Let's put it on hold because we've just got breaking news.
It's
Broncos, they've got the worst culture going around right now. We've got players crashing into people under drugs. We've got people liking comments of other players saying coaches are shit. And now we've got Reece Walsh punching.
Look,
God knows
if
what it
that's-
is. I
if
haven't seen the
that's-
footage.
yeah. Well, look, we haven't seen the footage. It's alleged,
is this-
but
is
if
this a
it's-
culture
if
thing?
it's true,
Is this a culture thing?
I don't know. I don't feel like it's a culture
Well,
thing. I
it's-
don't think Broncos are about that. They're one of the biggest clubs
Well,
in
we'll
NRL.
see how they handle this one because
But it'll be very interesting to see how they handle it. Does he continue? Does he continue his career in NRL? Like, if it's true, if it is true, and the video is actually him bashing someone on the
I want him
ground,
gone. I'll tell you why. Because I've had a superstar player at the peak of his, at the peak of him making first grade, get his contract ripped up over pulling out a hammer and chasing a tradie off site. He didn't even hit him. He chased him. Fair enough. I understand he got stood down. But then now we've got players, for example, like Ezra Mam, who has crashed into someone with drugs in his system, unlicensed, and they're like to him, well, you're only going to get 9 weeks. If the same thing happens for Reece Walsh, then
I don't
does
know.
that show favoritism? Does that show something that we don't know what's
Probably.
going on?
Probably, but if that, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go on.
Look, going back to your initial point about how do the Broncos have a bad culture, I don't like. Look, Gordon Tallis is an average pundit, but he knows the Broncos better than most people do. Gordon Tallis said that when they were on fire, when they were winning the late '90s grand finals, they felt like rock stars. They were the only team in Brisbane. They were and Brisbane bleeds rugby league, and Wayne Bennett kept them in check. Wayne Bennett reminded them they're not rock stars. They're just footy players. Remember your privilege. And Ezra Mam driving unlicensed on drugs felt like a rock star. Reece Walsh allegedly going out and bashing someone feels like he's on top of the world. Feels like he's better than everyone else. That is a culture problem.
I agree. I think it's a culture thing because these players seem to think that they stand above the law. Like, you don't go out into public doing these things if you don't think you're going to get caught and get... For example, you with the... If you go... I'm not saying you do take drugs, but say you put yourself in Ezra Mam's shoes as a normal civilian. You take drugs, and would you ever consider driving
Not in a million
unlicensed?
years. Not in a million
Because
years.
you know to yourself that you're going to get jailed at minimum. These players think that they're above the law. Like with the example, Reece Walsh, who's a lot of these young kids look up to, and was on the Origin arena. Speaking about Origin, he was on the Origin arena for the last couple of years. He's gone out and he's done.
If he wasn't injured, it was probably peak.
Yeah, with Ponga in bad form, Walsh most likely makes this team.
Like, what do you want the outcome out of this? Do we stand him down? Do we rip up his contract? Do we fuck him off?
Look, we have to see if it's true. We
Yeah,
have to
you got to first of all, you got to see if it's true.
You have
If
to give
it is
people the
true-
benefit of the doubt as of now.
We're talking about in the hypothetical that it's true that there's the footage that comes out. He's hitting someone and he's on the ground and
If
If that's the if it's
is it provoked?
Regardless.
if it's provoked.
We
or
can't-
not.
I
I don't
think-
think
Didn't we say he punched him to the ground, not he punched him on the ground?
regardless, he still punched someone. If I fucking punch you with my left hand and I'm right-handed, have I punched you or not?
No, but there's circumstances. If the guy's throwing punches at him, you can't expect him to just take it.
Look, I understand that. Yeah, there's
No, what? Are you saying just because you're a footy player, if someone's trying to bash you, you don't hit them back?
You cannot hit someone. Why would someone randomly come up to you and hit you as a footy
That's
player?
not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
There are some lunatics in this world. It's probably
If it's in a nightclub, I can think of punch runs happening for much dumber reasons.
So
in
why is he at a
nightclubs.
nightclub if he's
Who
injured?
says you can't be at a nightclub?
If you're injured, I'm pretty
that
sure
at a
you can't be.
nightclub?
We're speculating here.
Oh, speculating.
We're speculating here. I'm just saying.
And it's
if
just opening up a can of worms.
Yeah, we'll
But-
take it as face value.
Take
This
it as
bloke has
face
punched
value.
someone, regardless whether it's provoked or unprovoked. He's punched someone.
He
Amon,
has.
Amon, what the case was with Amon was he chased a tradie that owed his dad money with a hammer.
What's he doing?
You know what I mean?
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
That's still provoked.
That's
Like,
actually the
like,
first time I've heard
you know what I
that.
mean? Like
I
he's.
knew it was a hammer thing, but I didn't know that was the reason.
That's what I mean. Like someone owed his dad money, so he chased him with a hammer.
Far
So
out.
that's a provoked situation. So whether someone's told Reece Walsh you're a prick or spat on him or
Yeah.
whatever, he's retaliated. There's got to be consequences, and we've got to
Yeah.
have like that ground where I don't care whether he's the best player in the league or the worst player. Like we've had other players lose
Look,
their jobs
yeah.
over it.
I don't feel. I feel like he's just the way the NRL's going. I feel like he's too much of a face of the game. That
He's gonna get a slap on the
he'll
wrist.
get a slap on the wrist. He'll probably get a lengthy suspension if it's true and whatnot. I'm just saying, speaking the hypothetical and if it is true, he'll probably just face a lengthy suspension, a nice fine. I don't think he'll get his NRL contract ripped up. Like it's probably warranted, but just the way the game is going and the way that his name has impacted the game, I don't think he does. I don't think he gets his
See,
NRL
like
contract ripped up.
with the
agree.
Broncos, they're not the most liked club at the moment because everyone knows that they've got the rub of the green. They're not really pledging a case for anyone to like them anytime soon with shit like this happening. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure they had Matt Lodge at the time who had a domestic violence case as well.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
I'm starting to think that this is a Broncos thing. Like, it must be a Queensland thing. And this is why us in New South Wales, going back to Origin, if you live in New South Wales and you go for Queensland, you deserve to go on the Flanagan Express to the moon and fuck off out of here.
You do. You absolutely do.
But back to the Origin team list, because fuck Queensland, fuck Walsh.
Well, look, before we go anywhere else, I just want to say that I think Max King deserves this. Obviously, in an alternate world, when if Terrell May was in contention, it didn't sound like Terrell May was in Laurie Daly's considerations at all. I think Terrell May does get in ahead of Max King, and I think Terrell May has been in better form than
See,
Max King.
Yeah,
Just being a Bulldogs fan and seeing everything Max King has gone through,
With
I'm
his
just
in- yeah.
ecstatic with.
Yeah,
for
with
him.
his foot injury, like
I'm ecstatic.
it's only a
for
couple
him.
years ago we had I don't know, it was I think it was something of the formality. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, he had a rough time.
He had a rough
He was
time.
very close to retiring. Very close to medically
Yeah.
retiring.
So it's good that it's good to say that he's turned it around and he's gotten what he's prayed for, and he's gotten that Origin spot. I feel like because he came out and said if you look at all the media and if you look at all the predicted team lists, you don't see a Max King. So I feel like once he gets out there on the field and he comes off the bench, I feel like he wants to prove a point and he would want to get a job done. Like I feel like he would want to get out there and cement his name in the Origin arena. So
Definitely.
it's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout. He'll do a job. He's not going to do a bad job. He'll do a mad job. But it's look, that's always the argument of Terrell May has been probably up there with Payne Huss as the best forwards in the
Yeah,
game.
in terms of form, him and Haas are on very similar
In
levels.
terms
Terrell
of
May and
form, in
Haas,
terms
yeah.
of numbers, like
very similar.
minutes played, Terrell May has an engine on him. He can play freaking 80 minutes.
Yeah, look, I'm not upset with the Max King pick. I'm upset with what Laurie Daly says about his selections. Like he's gone and said, "Oh, I don't think Terrell May is up to Origin standard because there's been better players in his position." Well, tell me who's been better than Terrell May and Payne Haas this year.
It's hard.
Tell me one prop that's been
there's
better
no
than
one.
him.
Those
It's
two have
hard.
been cut and dry at the top.
Like I understand, like you might not like him as a player. Just say he doesn't fit the culture of what we're building. Don't go and tell me he's not been the best in his position or we've found someone that's better in his position. Because tell me a player that goes and does 63 tackles in 80 minutes and a couple of weeks ago against the Sharks playing 84 minutes as a prop forward.
Yeah.
You know
and
what I
and he
mean?
got the shits. What was it? I think the week before they got the shits at Benji Marshall saying, "Why'd you take me off?"
Yeah.
Yeah, what
Don't
did I
rest
do
me.
wrong? Yeah, he
No,
said, what did I do wrong?
What did I do?
Like you can't sit here and give shit excuses because it's unwarranted
Yeah.
for Terrell May to not be there based on form.
If
Well,
they're
look,
basing
this-
it on form, he
This has to be
there.
addressed as well. Personally, I don't think you can pick him after what he said online.
So
Personally,
that's
I
when we
don't
go
think
back to your thoughts of a provoked action. That's Laurie Daly saying we're not going to even consider him. Obviously, he's gone and heard the news that we're not considering you,
Yeah.
and he hasn't said anything bad. Come
Okay,
on, man.
was-
He's gaming with his mates. Obviously, he should have been a lot smarter about it to think that I've got viewers.
Yeah.
But he's gone and said, oh, as a joke, you know that Blues jersey, I got you, throw it in the bin. Because maybe he's had a Blues jersey printed out for his mate. Like, say, for example, I was playing, like, football, and I was playing PlayStation with you guys, and then I had a I thought I was going to make Origin. I'd have a jersey with my name on it and give it to you and be like, oh, here, wear it for the game. Then you hear your coach go and say, oh, you're not what we want. Obviously, I'm going to joke around with you and be like, oh, go throw it in the bin.
Yeah, like it's.
I think they've taken it way too.
I think that's the thing. That's the media, but that's just what they do. And at the end of the day, like footy players need to remember they're footy players. Like if they say one word that's wrong and they don't mean it, the media's just gonna fucking blow it up.
Yeah.
Like that's the sad thing. Like he's just gaming with his mates. He's not even thinking about the media. Like he's just thinking he's playing Warzone. He's playing freaking Call of Duty.
What a game, by the way.
Yeah, like he's not thinking about the media. He's not thinking about this. He didn't even think that they'll get clipped. I reckon he probably woke up in the morning saying, "For fuck's sake," like he probably just didn't.
I agree with you on that. I do agree with
That's
you.
what I'm saying. Like I think they've taken it way out of proportion. Like he hasn't said anything bad. He hasn't said fuck you, Dale. He hasn't said
you're
fuck
right.
the Blues.
He hasn't.
He just said throw the Blues jersey in the bin. For what reason we don't know. Obviously, he's disappointed that he didn't get picked.
Yeah.
Look, I understand it more if the team has come out and he says that.
Well,
This
obviously,
was on like Wednesday or Thursday, and look, man, you hear rumors. There have been rumors about everything in the lead up to this Origin.
There's been rumors about freaking.
There's been rumors about everything. That could have been wrong. He could have been in line to get selected, and then that turned him off.
Look, Sam, I'm sure you would understand. We're just normal civilians that get leaked team list.
Of course.
These players that are in contention obviously get phone calls from the selectors saying,
And it hits harder than saying.
hey, you're in contention. Or they would have called him up and said, listen, bro, we're not going to go with you, so go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? So obviously he would have had that phone call before any team list would have been put together. And they would have said, oh, we're not going to go with you. We're either looking at Max King or, for example...
Stefano.
Yeah, but
Stefano.
then yet again, like Laurie Daly said, he said Terrell has been knocking on the door. Like
He's
needs
saying
to
that for
keep-
the public
He
view.
needs to keep knocking.
Yeah, but
Like,
he's saying that for the public view.
Yeah.
What those private conversations that I had between
We don't
player
know.
and
No one
coach,
will ever
no
know.
one will know.
Yeah.
Unless he comes out and says, oh, Laurie Daly told me you're not good enough. You know what I mean? But,
I just can't wait to see.
you know, another controversial non-pick for me was Corey Horsburgh.
yeah,
How the
yeah,
fuck
yeah,
did
yeah.
Trent Liero, Trent Waterhouse, fake dude, get picked over Corey Horsburgh?
Billy Slater works with the Storm. He has a
I don't know.
bias.
I really don't know.
He
Like
really
he's
suck-
another person that's gonna do a job for him. But Corey's been good, man. Corey has been good.
I feel like he's been the Raiders' best forward this year. I know we've got Hudson Young there, but
Middle forward.
based on like effort and everything, I feel like this bloke brings like a Terrell May sort of.
Considering he was playing cup all last year, he's turned his
He's turned
career
his whole
completely
season around. His whole
yeah.
career
Do you
around.
reckon-
Sorry, yeah.
Do you reckon that Billy Slater is scared that this bloke's gonna go cry on the field and put up his finger again?
Who
No,
knows? Who
nah,
knows?
it's probably that's
I'm
probably.
sure Horsburgh played Origin after that happened anyway.
He did, but you know,
Yeah.
if someone gets into his head, he's crying.
I think that's the thing. I think that's a main factor for Billy like Slater as well. I know if Corey Horsburgh is on that field, and you've got Blues, you got say Spenny, you got Spencer Len, you just fucking run it straight at him. Like puts a big hit on him. Like you saw what he said. You heard what he said, or saw what he said at the Dogs game when he dropped Saluka Fafita. He looked over to Critter side. He's like, he ain't coming back. Imagine hearing from Spencer Lenu. You're playing Origin, and the person you just dropped was Corey Horsburgh. He's gonna react. Like I feel like anyone does react in Origin. Origin's it's high tempered. Like
There's a lot of emotion.
It's a short tempered game,
Of course,
but
we fucking hate Queensland.
Yeah,
we hate Queensland. Queensland hates us. That's the way
Queensland
it
doesn't
is.
even know who they hate. They hate everyone. They even hate themselves.
But I feel like I think that's it's probably a risk elimination just to play someone that will still do a job.
But then they've gone and risked playing Rob Toya, who's now 5 or like less than 10 games, we'll say, into his career, and he's playing in the centres at Origin level, going to defend against Latrell Mitchell, probably the most damaging centre in the game.
Latrell Mitchell.
I honestly can't think of anyone else eligible who's fit.
There's Xavier Savage.
I don't know. I don't think Savage sees it over.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Jesse Arthurs is still.
Well, Jesse Arthurs is what is he? 18th man or something?
Yeah, Jesse Arthur is in the
Oh no,
extended
no,
squad.
19th, 19.
He's in the extended squad.
Man's
So,
18th.
look, Jesse.
I'd take them on the wing.
Look,
and
yeah,
have
realistically, I think the smarter option would have maybe been Arthur's on the wing and Holmes back to centres.
Well, look, yeah, 100%. Rob Toya's not the greatest defensive centre in
He
the
isn't.
game right now. He's very good on his feet.
Oh, he's
but
because of course he's still very young and still
when you've
very
got a fucking
inexperienced.
minibus running at you, bro, and you're like 10 games into your career, playing at Origin peak NRL level, like surely
Well,
surely the bright lights are gonna hit him, bro.
Yeah, well, he's going to have Holmes next to him. He'll probably have Cotter next to him. I don't think they'll put Nano next to him.
Holmes will be on the right, yes. It's gonna be Holmes and Toya because you're not gonna shift Xavier Coates out of his left,
No,
natural left
you can't.
position.
you won't.
So we're gonna have the worst defensive centers in the game
Yeah.
playing center and wing against probably Tro and Toto, who are
Yeah,
two minibuses,
it will be
two
the
and a half
Trot and Toto.
minibuses.
Yeah.
Nah,
It's gonna be a slaughterhouse.
Holmes
out
is
on
a
that
good.
side.
Holmes is a good defender. Like,
No, he's not. He's definitely
He's
not a good
not.
defender. Did you not see him get clipped by fucking Ezra Mam?
Yeah. Look, me personally, I think you do need to take some risks in Origin.
That's a fucking
I
big
don't think
risk.
that's the right risk, but
For me
I
personally,
don't.
I think Xavier Savage was more warranted. He's also a right-sided winger, so we could have played Holmes on the left centre, played Hammer on the right centre, and then Savage on the
I
right
don't
wing.
know.
Because he's
I
a
feel
right
like
winger.
that's probably the strongest option they've had that they.
But
put
then
around
again,
on
who
the
am
field.
I? I'm just a random Lebo from the area, and
Pretty
Billy
much.
Slater's a fucking.
Billy Slater
genius.
knows something, man. It's Billy Slater, bro. He would just. I
Yeah,
don't know.
obviously he knows something that
He knows something that we don't.
Yeah, that he would want to work with, but Ponga, good pick, bad pick,
Ponga's
Oh,
of course a good
yeah.
pick.
because
When isn't he? When
because
isn't he a good pick?
their other option was to play
Munster at fullback.
Munster
Yeah.
at fullback.
Munster at fullback, Dearden at 6.
I think this
Isn't
is
that
the
what?
better-
Isn't that what? Sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah.
isn't that what? What's his name? Ben Hunt said. But didn't he come out and say
Gives
that?
a
not
fuck
long
what that
ago?
bloke has to
I
say.
know, but what is he? What, is he just stirring the ship, or?
He's just throwing in some spanner into the work. So New South Wales, so he's like, oh, they're gonna pick based on.
Yeah.
Shut up, idiot! No one cares about what you've got to say besides your wife.
Look, I think the way they've set up their spine is the best way to set up their spine.
I agree.
I feel so. Yeah,
I agree.
I feel like.
I just wanted to say what you got, what you had to say.
I think Ponga just because Knights are going pretty bad, so he'll probably benefit being around the boys.
My bro, if I'm Ponga,
Queensland
I'm taking that Queensland camp with 2 hands.
Yeah.
I can't wait to
Yeah.
get out of Newcastle.
Yeah,
Fucking
100%.
actually
He's
finally
probably
win
the same
something.
thing. He's probably like, I can't wait to change the vibe a bit. Probably, I don't know, jag a couple, like something like get a couple wins. Hopefully not, but like just be around the winning squad
Yeah.
or squad that he's gonna push for a win. So they'll probably do him justice. Probably do him well.
So we're happy with the blue squad out of 10. How much?
Out of 10,
I give it an 8.
What would you
I
change?
reckon.
I'd start Terrell May. I'd push Mitch Barnett to the bench. I can't get the words out. I can't speak badly of Max King, but I think
He has to
I
miss
think
out.
Terrell May deserves his Origin spot this year more than Max King does.
What about you, Charlie?
But I love him so much.
I
Honestly,
also like you, Max.
I rated about an 8 out of 10 as well. Changes I would make. I feel like Hunted Young is either a starter or he doesn't get picked at all. I feel like you're a starter or nothing.
Yep.
And I reckon Keon would have been a good pick on the bench instead of Hudson Young.
Yeah.
Another pick, I do like the forwards that he's picked now, but Terrell May has to be there. That's
see,
another
look,
thing.
I think this could have gone a lot worse if we had our full players fit, because we could have seen a Gerbo or a
Yeah, we
Saifidi in
could've.
there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why I'm not upset with the Max King, because we could have been a lot worse. For me, the only changes I would have made, look, I'm not too upset about Edwards being there, because like he does play that support role very well. But what I would like to see, and this is me personally, because it did work for us, I'd like to move Isaiah Yeo out of 13. He takes the ball off the halves way too much for my liking. I'd play him at prop, or even off the bench actually. So me personally, based on who's available, I'd have Payne Haas and Terrell May starting, with obviously Robson. Then my 2 second rowers, like you said, Hudson Young's either a starter or he's not coming off the bench. He doesn't
Yeah.
bring that impact off the bench. So I've got I'm going the same. I'm going with Gus and Martin. And then at 13, I'm going with Watson. Then we have someone like Barnett and Isaiah Yeo off the bench that can cover any position in the forward pack. And then obviously I'd like to have Ola Kawatu there, because
Yeah.
he's more of a damaging player than Hudson Young. When we're pinned in our half and our props are fucking gassed, he's that other forward that can go and take those dirty 10-meter runs. Hudson Young isn't. He's more of a hole runner, you know what I mean? And then for your 14, or like your utility, I wouldn't mind saying McInnes have a go.
Yeah.
That bloke's he's
That
one
bloke's
of
just
those
100 tackles a game.
He's an Origin player.
he's one of those blokes that will come out with 3 teeth missing, scratches all over his head, and smile. He's
Yeah.
happy about it.
But on top of this, I just want to say, let's say Terrell May's not eligible. He's not in the discussion. I think King should start over Barnett. King is not really an impact bench player.
Yeah, yeah.
Mitch Barnett is a lot more damaging in his runs.
And
than
it's
Max
not
King
only
is.
that, Barnett can cover your lock, your second row, your prop.
Yeah.
So Barnett is better off the bench.
I think Barnett's a smarter bench player than Max King is.
And so if Terrell May is uneligible, I start Isaiah Yeo and Payne Haas at prop.
Okay.
And then I play Watson on 13.
Okay.
I feel like Watson can also interchange with Robson if you need him to in the game. But having Watson at 13, he's a good little player. Eh?
I love Watson. He's a
good
freak.
little
I
player.
love him. But it'll be interesting. You never know. The team list, what is it? An hour before. See what happens. See what happens with the updated team list. You don't know who changes in and out of the bench. Gets the start.
Controversy around team list, and we got controversy around my TikTok. I don't know if you guys are keeping up to date with the Kardashians,
Goodness.
but
That's pretty bad.
the Dragons, what are you doing, mate? Blocking a fucking fan for
That's-
saying one of
that's
your
pretty
players
bad.
is shit on social media.
Look, I know, like, there's so many players that go to that extra, like, not players, sorry. So many fans go to the extra step and they message these players individually.
I promise you, I'll tell you now. I'll tell you guys right now. I have not messaged the player. I've not incited any harmful actions towards these players. I've not messaged the club. I have just stated my opinions online about Cole Flanagan being the worst fucking player in the Dragons history, and I still stand by it. I think he needs to take his jersey off and fuck off back to the Bulldogs. But
No,
honestly,
thank you.
what are your thoughts? Because I know obviously you guys have no relation to it. It's just the Dragons and me. But like, could you imagine you had your favorite content creator like Hectic Fred, for example, gone blocked by the Bulldogs because he said, "Oh, I don't like this player."
You mind if I go first, Shabo?
Yeah, go.
Being a fan online and like attacking a player personally, that should get you blocked.
Yeah.
Like threatening someone or like attacking a player personally, that's not on. But these players get paid extremely good money to play football, and people have a right to criticize.
I agree.
People have a right to criticize performance.
Exactly.
If you're criticizing based on performance, that's valid.
So what are they going to do? They're going to block every single person that criticizes the
That's-
coaching
you can't,
selections
like,
and everything?
Is it a thing, like, I don't know, there's also another view of it, is that are the Dragons players getting amongst the videos? And
Of course they are.
Of course they are.
Look, I know. I can
they're
confirm.
saying
I'm
it.
not going to confirm exactly how, but I can confirm that they've seen it.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's impacted them very well. I'll tell you an example. Blake Lowry had the worst start to the year. I called him out, and then against that Titans game where I got confirmation that he had seen the video, he's come out and he's had an absolute blind, and he hasn't looked back since. He's actually been one of our better forwards, and I'm genuinely happy with him.
Yeah,
As a player, if you see a fan grilling you, would you not want to be like, fuck this cunt, I want to prove him a point?
It can go
Of
one way or
course.
another way.
It can go in
two
one way.
ways.
Yeah, it's a very touchy
Well,
thing.
clearly Cole Flanagan's a
if you're
soft
already
cock.
down on
I
confidence
don't
and
feel
you've
like-
got your own fans ripping into you, you could just sink
It
deeper.
could be, yeah.
But Sam, I'm every single fan's thoughts. It's just I've got a platform to say it.
I'm not saying you're unjustified in saying what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that different players with different personalities and different mentalities, they all take this.
It's
these
not
things
that.
different.
I feel like there's also that, and I feel like I know you're pissed off about it, but is it a coaching thing where Shane's like, I don't want this guy's videos in my dressing room?
Well, bro, it only
And-
became an issue when I started criticizing his son. I never got blocked over Blake Lowry's videos.
Yeah, but maybe he got to an extent where he's like, all right, these videos, I don't want him in the dressing room, and the only way they've gone about it is
You know the other thing. You know the other thing related to that, but he only got blocked off the Dragons' official page.
Yeah.
That's true,
The
actually.
players don't
The
have
players-
access to
yeah,
the Dragons'
that's true,
official
that is
page.
Exactly.
true.
Like there's still
That's-
players that are
that's
still
true.
following me. Like this is, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like some young kid that's dislikes me personally because
A media manager.
you know
bro.
what I mean.
Like this doesn't have to be a Flanagan call. This could just be
That's
a
what I'm
media
saying.
manager.
That's what I'm saying. Like at first when I first looked at it, before like I looked at it properly, I was like, bro, wow, my favorite team that I'm so passionate about has gone and blocked me.
Oh, it hurts.
I don't think any other team would do that. I think any
hurts.
other team would encourage this sort of like content. Like they would obviously.
no, encourage it to a certain
Yeah,
extent.
like obviously to a certain extent, they won't sit here and
Like they're not going to show
the
them
swearing and
videos of
stuff, you know what I mean?
the swearing
Yeah,
and whatnot and all that.
But
They're
no,
not
like they
gonna
would encourage
that.
because, like for example, if you look at my TikToks, I've got more likes on my page than the Dragons do across their whole TikTok. It's unbelievable. But I think it's just a social media thing because I looked at it at first and I'm like, oh, my favorite team blocked me, but then I'm like, it's not even the team; it's just some person that runs their socials.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
like that's not a board decision.
Nah, definitely not.
Imagine it
It's
was.
not.
Imagine
Yeah,
if he impacted that much. It's like, fucking
yeah.
block
It's
him.
not. It's not Craig Young sitting there saying, "Fuck this cunt, I don't want him anywhere in my club."
Imagine thinking right now that Ben Cray doesn't like you because of your videos.
Oh, Ben Cray loves me. I love you, Ben Cray. But nah, could you imagine I rock up to my next Dragons game and they're like,
Not allowed to
Get out of
They got
here.
your
Not
face
allowed
at
to enter the
security.
stadium.
yeah, get out of here. You and the skull. If any OGs remember the skull, you and the skull are both banned from me.
Go to
For
fucking,
life.
you're trying to tag, scan your membership.
And then you get Shane Flanagan personally down, and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here, cunt." Nah,
I love my son.
You better love my son, or else you're going on the Flannel Express. Nah, but
Speaking of the Flannel Express, I've got a nomination.
let's hear it.
I
That's
think.
interesting because I don't have one, so I'd like to hear
You
your
got
take.
no nominations.
For the Flannel Express. No, I don't.
Who's-
know.
who's taking the ticket
well,
this
look,
week?
Well, look, there's one obvious option. He's been brought up earlier. I'm not going to bring him up again. There's one obvious candidate, but you know what? Just thinking about the conversation we just had, the St. George Illawarra Dragons media manager deserves to go on the station.
I was gonna say.
I was waiting to see where it's coming from. Yeah, like there wasn't any player for me to put onto the fucking.
no
But
player
that's,
this week deserved
that's
it.
good. Him and Peter Goff can go hand in hand. They can go sit next to each other in VIP
That was
access.
the obvious one.
If you're the manager of like their social media and you're watching this, you're getting put on the fucking Flannel Express straight to the moon, never to come back. You little p word.
And you just made history. You're week one's first winner.
There you go. Line up to
walking,
get your
bro.
tickets for the moon ship,
Sick
for
of
the
hearing
Flannel
him crying.
Express. But yeah, this is a segment that I want to introduce to everyone. We've got fan requests and fan questions. This
Send
week,
in everything. No stupid questions.
Yeah.
obviously,
There's
we're
no
going to
dumb
discuss
question.
what we think is appropriate to be discussed here because we can't be talking about stupid things.
Don't be dirty.
Yeah, like we can't be talking about players being naked and stuff.
No.
No, but this week, obviously, because we're a new podcast, but I've had a couple of people reach out to me and
Oh, already?
we had
Really?
someone
seriously?
DM me on
Okay.
the account.
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
had a
let's
couple
hear
of
it,
people.
let's hear
We had Yakub message me saying Warriors aren't good. They pop off for a season, then fall off.
Okay.
Never been good for more than 2 years in a row. That's his hot take.
Look, I want to say like they've been good.
So what he's saying is
I know,
they're
I
not
understand what they're
consistently a
saying.
good
I know
team
what
where
They
they
just have purple
I know what he's
patches.
saying.
yeah.
They just
But
have purple patches.
what was it when they were good? When they knew when
3
they
years
had
ago.
3 years ago. I know, but they had the half selection in that down pat in that instance. And Luke Metcalf copped a nasty injury.
But
and
even
throws
as
a
far as
spanner
I
in the
can
works.
look, even as far as I can remember, the Warriors have had one really good year, one really bad year. Like that 2011 year, 2010, I don't even think they made the finals. Then 2011 they made the grand final. Then the next year they missed out on the 8. And it's happened
it's
like the
weird.
last couple of
It's
years as
weird.
well. Like
That's like last year, people expected so much of them.
yeah,
So much from them, and
Yeah.
they didn't deliver. But I don't know. It's a good question.
It just
That's
comes
a
down
hot
to how
take.
it just comes down to how you classify not good. If you're making the finals once every
Yeah.
3 or 4 years, I don't think you're a bad team.
Yeah.
are you throwing shade at me because my team hasn't made it? in
I
about
think
7
you,
years?
I think you support a bad team.
Go F yourself, you idiot. You haven't made the finals in how long?
6 months.
Besides that fucking year. It
Look,
took
you
you what,
can't-
8-9 years?
No,
Oh,
look,
yeah,
but
don't talk about
we
the doggies.
weren't good for an extended period of time. Now we are good.
That's the thing. We weren't
just-
very hot and cold. We were just
We were
cold.
cold.
We were like
Frozen.
freezing cold. Antarctica cold for a good
The
3
North
years.
Pole cold. We were
4 years.
frozen.
That's when we used to go to games and there would be 3,000 people at a call.
So depressing.
And we
Honestly,
were
so
2
depressing.
out of
That was up until
3,000.
like 12 months ago.
Yeah, now
That
you're
was-
averaging 30K.
That was the first time I took my now wife out with me to watch us play Manly in the last game of 2023. We left that in the 50th minute.
So she's a bad curse.
She was ready to leave me.
So you're telling me she's a curse?
I don't know how she stuck around.
Well, now she's enjoying it. Now she's stuck around, so she's enjoying
I
it.
don't think she
Yes.
even gives a flying fuck,
Yeah,
to
she-
be
I don't
honest.
think
I
she
think she
cares.
just cares about
Yeah.
her husband being
She
happy.
just doesn't care.
That's true.
But yeah, now you're averaging what, 30,000? There was about 30,000 people
There
at
was
the game
30,000 at the
against
Roosters game.
Roosters.
Yeah.
So
So are we going to agree with his hot take?
no, I disagree.
I disagree with it.
I agree with him.
Look, I don't think you can classify them as not a good team. They're a good team, but just if you reach the finals and look, it's hot and cold. That's what they need to figure out. But you can't say they're not a good. They're a bad team.
Staying on the Warriors for a second, this guy over here last year was a massive Aaron Clark hater.
I still hate him.
Aaron Clark's a beast.
Aaron Clark is an incredible player.
I still hate him. I love the Warriors. Look, I love up the wires. But
I didn't like that. I didn't enjoy that.
nah, I'd still hate Aaron Clark. He's just got such a punchable head. Don't come after me, Aaron Clark, and block me as well, bro.
Hey, just so you know, Aaron Clark's in my super coach, and I'm versing him this week. I think you
Aaron-
know
oh,
exactly
Aaron
what's
Clark's
going to
gonna
happen
pop
now.
I promise you, Aaron
Bro, what's
Clark.
he
if you-
averaging? Like 70 or
Aaron-
something?
He's averaging 70. What a player.
Bro, he's been on.
Aaron Clark, if you do anything stupid this week, I'm coming to message you personally some very nice messages about you not being picked next week. But nah, I think like he's just playing out of his skin this year, and he's You
Great
know,
player. Great player.
he's not a great player.
I really like.
He's got a stupid tattoo, bro.
I liked him at the Titans.
He's
as
got one of the
well.
worst tattoos I've ever seen in history.
I haven't. What's his tattoo?
He's
I've
got a
never
neck
paid attention.
tattoo.
Jonathan Thurston
Oh,
has a
bro,
stupid
everyone
tattoo
has
as
a
well.
What's his tattoo?
He's got wings on his back.
But no one sees that.
Drinking too many Red Bulls. Anyway, next question.
Yeah, our next.
We've got another one.
I just got that, you idiot. All right, we've got Adam. I'm sure he's a Dogs fan because he
Why?
wants to hear my take. Will the Bulldogs make the grand final
Yeah, I
this
don't
year?
know.
I'll let you guys answer first because you can be biased or you can be logical
Look,
here.
I'm gonna be logical. It hasn't sold me yet. Just the way that our first half, we're playing 40 minutes at a time. I don't know. It hasn't sold me yet. I feel like we can make the top 4, yes, but pushing to make the grand final, you can't play like that.
Sorry, what
It's
exactly was the question? Can you read
if
it
we
again?
can make the grand final this year. It's not that hard.
Do you need glasses
No,
for
no,
your
no, no,
issues?
no. I don't.
You
No,
need
no, no.
glasses
Hold
for
on,
your
hold on.
glasses?
Is it would or could?
Will the Bulldogs?
Will the
Okay.
Bulldogs,
Okay.
not could.
I thought
So
it-
we've
I
had
thought it
logical. Can we have bias now?
Look, if we want to make the grand final, we've got to be a lot more consistent across the 80 minutes.
Yes.
And that's just bias. But I believe it. I like
do,
it.
do you want me to
I like the
genuinely
faith.
answer?
Answer it, please.
I think no. I
Okay,
don't think
that's
so.
fine.
I've been saying it for weeks on weeks. You guys don't have the spine to take you to a grand final.
Maybe.
Your X factor lies in Crichton, and Crichton can only do so much from the centre spot.
True.
But yeah,
See what happens.
so yeah,
It's a funky season, but anything could happen. You really don't know.
yeah. There you go. Well, that brings us to an end. If you guys want to get featured in our next podcast, or like
Just ask us
Send
a
in
question,
questions,
even
send
if it's
in
a
your hot
stupid
takes.
question. You're asking if you think it's a stupid question, then ask that question because we're
look,
stupid people.
look. You know
Yeah,
what?
so
Let's make
we
it
are.
comfortable.
So then we'll think it's a good question.
Yeah,
So just send it.
Let's make it comfortable because if you think it's a stupid hot take, I'm gonna give everyone here a hot take for the week. What's your hot take
Oh,
for the
bro.
week?
For the week.
Let
Yeah.
me get up. Let me get up this week. What games there are?
Okay.
I want to do a hot take tip.
Let me think for a second. Okay, hot take for the week.
So what games do we have this week?
My hot take is I'll get the ball.
Go. You
rolling.
go first. You go
My hot
first.
take is Dylan Edwards as a
Okay.
player individually is not a top 5 fullback, and I'll name you players that I would take over him right now. Is Teddy, Ponga, Turbo fully fit, Troll at fullback, Drinkwater and Reece Walsh,
Oh,
Pappy.
it's a very hot take.
Pappy maybe
Like
not,
you're
but,
warm. You're warm. And
but
then-
I don't think he's a top 5 fullback. That's my hot take.
but like when it came down to Reece Walsh and
Reece
oh,
Walsh
you
just has
take-
that he can explode a game on
yeah,
himself.
when
I don't think
when he
Edwards
wants to
can.
play footy, he can.
Yeah, instead of punching people in the head, fucking idiot.
Let's take a hot take for this week.
See, there you go.
I'm kind of stuck.
No, but that's not really related to this week.
But it can be any hot take.
It's just
Okay.
hot
Your
take.
hot take of the week.
Alright,
See, this guy's an idiot. So if you guys think you're an idiot, come sending in your request.
It's a
I
hot
am.
take of the week.
I am okay. hot take
Idiot
of the
speaks your
week.
language if you're an
Okay.
idiot.
Bronson Sherry plays Origin in the next 5 years.
Come on.
That's a disaster. Oh,
That's
maybe
not a
you
hot
never
take,
know. You
because
never
that's a
know.
warm take.
We'll wait. What do you mean that's a warm
That's
take?
boi- that's boiling.
That's very out of the blue. That's very
boiling
unexpected,
water.
is it
That's
not?
boiling water hot.
Well, I've got my words mixed up.
Yeah.
That's not even a take. That's a hot give. That doesn't deserve to be a hot take.
See?
You never know what
Idiots.
happens.
See?
You never know what
What's
happens.
your hot take?
Knights bounce back.
Who have the Knights got? Okay.
Oh, you know what? There we go. That's actually not bad. That's
It is
that's
related
not a
to
hot
this week
take.
as well.
There you go. What are your tips before we end this?
Okay, I've got.
All right, I'll read out
But
the.
yes,
we're
read
always
out the
secretive about our tips.
It doesn't matter.
We
You
are
can
all-
change them during the
we
week.
are all in a Sydney comp, and
I've
he's
been-
coming like third last. So.
Hey, I've gained ground. I was
Brandy's the
19
genius.
points behind him. Now I'm like 14.
Yeah.
That's in a space of 3 weeks.
Good on you. I'm happy.
And he's had his joker. Don't let him fucking fool you. The bloke's got more jokers.
I
Hey,
am the
look,
joker.
he's coming first. When you're coming
He's had a
first, you're
joker,
coming
bro.
first.
If I use my joker, I'm right up his ass.
Yeah, I've
He's
got
just
I've
still
got
All
on
right,
the first
look,
one.
I'll read out
Yes.
the games where they're playing,
Yeah,
and then
why
you give
not?
me a 1 to 12 or 13
All right,
plus.
done.
Dogs versus Dolphins.
I really wanna be
Thursday
biased
night
about
at
this
a
one.
quarter.
I'm backing the baby Bulldogs, mate.
I want to
I'm
back.
backing the
I want
baby
to back.
Bulldogs.
I want to back the dogs. I
How
do.
much?
I don't know if I can back the dogs.
6. Dogs
1
by
to 12 or
6.
13 plus.
I'm
you
still. I'm
fucking
backing the
idiot.
boys.
You
I'm
said
backing
how
the boys.
much?
I'm backing the boys 1 to
Okay,
12.
well,
I'm
if I
backing the
said
boys
6,
1
then
to 12.
obviously 1 to 12.
It's not obvious with you fucking idiot.
Oh,
I'm surprised you didn't say by square.
So is 6 points in between 1 and 12?
I don't know, on your
Nick,
planet.
Oh, you
What
don't
about
know.
you? Who are you backing?
I've got Dolphins 13
I'd
plus.
expect that.
I
expect
can't
it.
say
You
you
got Herbie
guys.
Farmworth running up against.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean.
That's what I'm worried
Yeah,
about.
Yeah.
Centers is a
Yeah,
freaking
that was
odd
a
one,
shout,
eh?
bro.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like the
I
team
didn't know
list.
Tuala's still injured though.
Yeah, the team list that you've put out, I don't think you guys are going to be able to put up with the Dolphins. And if the Dolphins
That's
somehow
that's
manage to lose this isn't even about Bulldogs winning. This is about Dolphins losing it.
Yeah.
If the Dolphins lose this, then
Yeah.
I think they may be a hot take
It's a reasonable tip.
for a
Yeah, it's
fucking
reasonable tip.
Moonship
That's why I was
Express
saying it's
next
hard
week.
to. It's hard to think.
course it's
That's
hard,
why it was
bro.
hard to back the boys.
Of course
But
it's hard. I know.
boys
Friday
in blue, I'm
night?
backing them.
Friday night, Parramatta Eels versus Manly.
Okay,
Manly
Manly,
against Manly.
Manly are missing Daly. Who are Manly playing at 7?
Let's check right now.
Jacob
Jacob
Arthur.
Arthur's made a return.
Okay.
Jacob Arthur, the only player to ever rival Cole Flanagan for creativity issues.
Hey, he scored a try in the grand final.
Yeah, but
Hey,
what
yeah,
did it
Jakey
what
boy.
did it give him? Besides the
Okay.
fucking,
It gave him a contract at Manly.
Manly, yeah.
So
he's played 3.5 games for him.
Okay, so who's it? So who are Para playing at 7 as well?
Dean Hawkins.
Hawkins.
Nah, I can't tip Para.
Another player in that category.
I can't tip Para.
It's at
Oh,
Combank?
Jordan Samrani
It's
making his start at center's not bad.
It's at Combank.
Combank, yeah.
He's been playing good.
I am tipping Manly.
I think I'm tipping Manly.
I'm going Manly 13 plus.
I don't know about that, but I'm tipping.
I think Manly 13 plus, bro. Having Cherry Evans out, like just Cherry Evans going to Jake Arthur with the team that they've got. They've got Olakwatu who still plays.
Yeah.
It's going to be a
You still
bloodbath.
got Tommy at the back.
Yeah, like
Still
it's
got
gonna be a
Gary
bloodbath.
Kopawade call.
This is a game where Tommy could find his confidence again.
Yeah, it could be like a fuck you for not picking me.
Yeah.
He didn't want to get picked. So.
Panthers, depleted Panthers against Newcastle
Yes,
Knights at
very
Carrington
depleted.
Park.
I think that's Dubbo or maybe Bathurst.
Yeah,
or something.
Bathurst. Yeah, Bathurst.
Okay.
Newcastle v Panthers.
Okay. So I'm guessing Panthers are playing Dane Laurie at fullback.
Yes, they are.
Luke Garner and Tom Jenkins will be in the outside backs with Alamoti and Tango.
No, wrong.
Okay, fair enough.
What are you, the selectors?
It's McLean and Jenkins,
that's not
Targo, and
nice.
Paul Alamoti. So Thomas Jenkins, you're starting for me in my super coach. Let's
Nice.
cover. Let's hope Casey McLean passes the ball
I'm
to
not
you.
saying super coach any. No, you can listen to my tips, but not my super coach.
I
trades.
promise you, you're losing this week. I promise
Anyway,
you.
Talagi at 6, Schneider at 7.
Guys, right, like, I think that lock.
Talangi.
Garner.
No, Lindsay Smith is at lock.
Garner's on the bench.
Garner's on the bench.
No, he's not.
No, not even.
Garner's not
not
even
there?
playing. I
Oh,
think he
no.
must be injured.
All right.
Possibly. See, we're
Um,
idiots.
Okay, I'm gonna stick with Panthers.
Panthers 1 to 12.
Preston
Panthers-
Ricky playing 11.
Panthers 1 to 12. Yes,
Shabo,
please.
what
Matt
do you-
Eisenhuhn's back.
Can you stop reading player names and fucking tell me?
I don't know, man. This is gonna be tough, but I'm back in my hot take. I reckon Newcastle 1 to 12.
No, it's 1 to 12 for me as well.
Yeah.
Then we got. This could be a classic, if it wants to be, but I think it's Roosters versus Sharks at
Have a look at everyone who's out for the Roosters.
Outs for Roosters.
So-
There's a lot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But the
Toya's
Sharks have a history of underperforming against the lesser teams.
Toya.
Bro, where the
Watson,
fuck is
Crichton.
Industry Stadium?
Gosford.
No idea.
Are they
Gosford.
playing at Gosford?
Industry group, isn't it? Yeah.
Industry group, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is
Toya,
Gosford. He says
Wat-
Gosford on that.
Toya, Watson, Crichton,
Lenu.
Lenu,
Collins.
There's a lot of outs.
Sharks.
Sharks.
Yeah, White's out.
Sharks
injured.
13 plus.
It's Sharks. I'm going back in Sharks.
Sharks
13
13
man.
plus.
AFA for anytime try scorer.
AFB
There you go.
captain.
He scored
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row, hasn't he?
Back-to-back weeks he's scored.
There you go. I think Sharks 1 to 12. I think it's going to be really close because I think the Roosters do tend to show up when
They
no
do
one-
tend to show up, but I feel like this week they don't have the pack to go toe to toe with Sharks.
Yeah, literally Sharks.
It's just the Sharks.
I
Yeah,
can't- yeah.
Roosters that depleted in their bench as well, man.
The
Yeah.
Sharks
I
have
don't
the
know.
same color as the Blues and they still can't get a play into it. But
What's
the
all their players play international stuff? Like half of them are like Tongan.
yeah,
Yeah, they've got a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
true.
Pacific
They've got
Islanders.
They do.
I mean they've got Nico Hines.
He's not
Dally
Pacific
M with
Islander.
them.
But he's
He's
coming
not
up against
Pacific
the best
Islander.
halfback in the comp, bro. No one's gonna. It's a no
Another
brainer.
team that benefits from Origin as well. Warriors versus Canberra down in New Zealand.
Down in New Zealand, the Raiders have just lost Hudson Young.
Up the wires.
Hudson Young.
But man, Warriors are losing both Barnett and Fisher Harris.
Yeah, they're missing their 2 starting pros.
But
That's a big.
which
man.
means Aaron Clark has a big game.
Jackson.
Jackson Ford's back and Bunty starts.
Bunty.
Bunty!
I know a man that loves big Bunty.
Bunty. Big
Bunty,
Bunty's back.
okay.
The Bunty effect. The Bunty effect. Are we gonna see it this week?
Raiders 1 to 12.
Charbel?
Raiders 1 to 12, man.
I think
It's just-
Warriors 1 to 12.
It's just.
The big bunty.
I'll probably
effect.
change that tip to Warriors 1 to 12, but for now, I think
I'm going to
Raiders.
stick with the Raiders.
Right now, I've got Warriors 1 to 12. You never know. I might end up tipping Tigers.
Yeah, true. Dude, let's say who the Dragons versus.
We got the bye. We'll be lucky to get the 2 points, mate.
Let's see the team list.
The one kick a field goal.
Yeah, the bye will kick a field goal against us. I'm
Yeah.
will watch the bye kick a field goal.
Zach Lomax will somehow kick it for
Fucking
him with
idiots.
a fucking fractured foot.
But yeah, that's the first episode of our podcast. I want to thank the Ajibe's Couch, if I've pronounced it right, for giving us their space.
Thank you very much.
Big
I want to
thank
thank
you.
the
Big
league
thank you.
lads as well. I want to thank my mate Joseph over there who came and helped us
Honestly.
film
lifesaver.
our third take. By the way, this was
You
This
don't
was
want to
meant
know
to
what
only
we've
be-
been through tonight. You do not know what.
this was only meant to be an hour long. We were only meant to be here for an hour, but we've somehow been
3
been here
hours?
for close to 2.5 hours.
4
But
hours.
yeah, shout out to Joseph and
Thank
all
you.
the boys.
10 hours. Thanks, Joseph.
We'll see you guys next week. Love yous.